Hello folks, welcome to another episode of Whiskey Colin here. Back in the garage again. I had fun shooting in the garage last night, so now it's Wednesday night. Thought, hey, why not shoot another one? Maybe we're gonna have something called the Garage Series maybe. What do you think about that? Yeah, I think so. And tonight I just was sort of relaxing. I thought, why not throw out a super random tasting here. I just grabbed 3 totally random bottles, and they're very different. And I just thought, well, hey, why not throw them out and give them a shot? And kind of see how they kind of contrast with each other as I sort of sip through them. I'm just going to take my time. I'm in no rush tonight at all. Just totally relaxing. Summer's kind of on the way here, like I was saying yesterday. So just sort of enjoying myself here. And the first one I thought I'd show you guys is Teeling here. It's a Irish whiskey, and I just bought this recently and opened it up. I actually bought it for St. Paddy's Day and then never quite got to it on St. Paddy's Day. Ended up opening up 1 month later on April 17th instead of March 17th, so that was kind of fun. It's it kind of surprised me how much I liked it. I'm discovering I'm not the biggest Irish whiskey fan in general. I would say it's one of my probably my least favorite categories. I kind of find that it tends to have a lot of Irish whiskeys tend to have almost a little bit of a tinny, slightly tinny coppery kind of smell or feel to them. I just don't really like that much for some reason, But this really surprised me. It has a bit of a sweeter note, I found, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's probably one of the favorite Irish whiskeys I've ever tried. So, this one's it's 46% alcohol here. It's what else does it say here? It's non-chill filtered. It's finished in rum casks, which I thought was kind of interesting, and maybe that gives it a little bit of a different flavor. I'll just read you what it says on the bottle here. It says, since 1782, the Teeling family has been crafting Irish whiskey. The Teelings are renowned for their vision. Some of this writing's so small, it's a little hard to read. Renowned for their vision in doing things differently, and their whiskeys embody this entrepreneurial spirit. This small batch bottling consists of hand-selected casks, which are given a further 6 months maturation in ex-rum barrels, imparting an extra sweet and smooth flavor unique to Irish whiskey. By bottling at 46% with no chill filtration, completes an Irish whiskey of true character. Teeling whiskey, dare to be different. So it's something, and this is the Teeling small batch, it says here. I don't know exactly the different options that they offer necessarily. This is the first time I've tried a Teeling. But yeah, here, I'm going to give it a pour here and tell you guys kind of what I'm tasting tonight out of this one. Hope you're enjoying a dram yourself here on a Wednesday night. If you've got a Teeling yourself, pour one up, or maybe another Irish of some kind, pour it up and enjoy it. All right. Yeah, can't wait for winter to be over and summer to start. That's for sure. Just can't wait. I'm just gonna back up my chair a little bit. I feel like I'm just a touch too close. I feel like my head is kind of being cut off there a little bit. So just back up a tiny bit. So anyways, let's give this a try. It's got a little bit of a, as I smell it right now, actually, my palate tonight, I had a, what did I have? I just had a sip of Glengoyne 10-year just about half an hour ago. And so my palate's a little different from that. That's interesting. I'm actually going to cleanse my palate here. Would be a good idea. Yeah, so I'm getting a little bit of a, almost like a, I gotta say, almost like a plasticky smell right now. Plasticky, but with a little bit of sweet, almost maybe confectionery, sugary. There's a little bit of plastic almost in there. So it doesn't actually, palate's not blowing me away at the moment, but let's see what it tastes like. Yeah, really nice. Like, it's got a little bit of that Irish that I'm used to. That little bit of a slight tinny, but it's kind of offset by a sweetness. And I guess it's sort of that rum finish. You can kind of taste that rum finish a little bit, which is really nice. It's just muted enough, but yeah, you can kind of on the finish, you can taste that rum side of it, which is really interesting. I actually have no idea how common it may or may not be to have whiskey, finished in rum barrels at all. But you know what? I want to explore that more. If there are some more out there, I might do a little research, because I feel like that's a nice combination. Whiskey with just a little touch of rum. It's got a really, really nice finish to it, and I find it it creates an extra layer of complexity, or just an extra layer that I sometimes find with Irish whiskeys are missing for me. I find that bit of a tinny, coppery overtones of Irish sometimes. Not all Irish, but I'm just finding some of them are like that. And this has a little bit of that, but with a really nice complement with that rum, and it just kind of it has a nice little flow to it. That's really, really nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm really not in a rush tonight. I'm just relaxing. So I'm just taking my time with this video too, enjoying it. So I hope you've got a drink too, and you're just sort of kicking back, relaxing, and just enjoying yourself. And sometimes the point about having a dram or two is just not to be in a rush. Kind of decompress from the day. It's been a little bit of a long week. I've got one day left here this week, and then I booked a couple extra days off, so I got a 4-day weekend coming up. Really kind of a long time coming to just really have 4 days like that in a row to just relax. I mean, I absolutely can't wait. I'm sure I'll shoot a few videos over that stretch as well. And this is just really nice to just absolutely relax. So if I'm taking this video a little too slow, I apologize, but that's all I'm doing. So almost a little bit of a raisin or a date square kind of taste to it now as I sip it a little bit more. Yeah, almost sort of a date square sweetness. In a really nice way. Actually, I had some Glenmorangie last night, a dram of it, and that's got some sort of raisiny, if I recall, date square is what they say, but it's kind of got that sort of a feeling to it. And this kind of reminds me of that a little bit, just subtle. It's got just a little bit of heaviness to it. Sometimes I find Irish whiskey too, it's just a little bit too light. This is just settles a little bit. It's got a little bit of a heavy, not so much texture, but just a heavy kind of taste. And if you grab a handful of raisins and kind of eat them, a little bit of a tardiness, just a slight bit of heavy tardiness. Not extreme, but just enough that it kind of settles it down, and it's not quite so. It's not too light that it's just going to fly away on you, which sometimes you're in the mood for that in a whiskey, but sometimes you're not. Sometimes you just want it to settle down and just be a little bit of heavier flavor / taste is kind of what you're looking for. And this kind of brings that. It's got this is really nicely balanced. I found when I tried this. I haven't had very much of this. This is maybe my third dram of this, maybe, and since I opened the bottle about, just last weekend, I think, just a few days ago. And it's really nicely balanced. This is the kind of whiskey too, if you want to serve, might be somebody who's just starting with whiskey. This is a nice balance to give to somebody. It's to kind of a beginner or somebody who just doesn't want anything too incredibly extreme. Or this is a nice starting whiskey too. Boy, this is really nicely balanced. That's really well done. Okay, so I'm just going to cleanse my palate here. Yeah, again, I'm going to take my time here. So maybe at home, get 3 whiskeys going. So you've got, 3. It's kind of fun to kind of do a compare and contrast. Any 3, and just sort of drink along, Okay, so then I might come back to that, and do a little bit of a kind of come back to each one again and see what those taste like after I've worked through these. This next one here is called Revelstoke. This is kind of a fun one. This is pretty local to where I live. It's just one province over. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta. This is Revelstoke, BC. I think it's BC. Yeah, Revelstoke, BC. We were in Canmore, which is kind of close to the border between U.S. and Alberta, BC and Alberta. And this was, I think, on the menu at one of the restaurants we're at. And then we found a bottle of this. And so I think it's fairly local. It's Revelstoke spiced whiskey, is what it says here. It's 45%. And here I'll do a little read up here on what it's all about. So it says, to the mind, and again, sometimes it's writing so small in these bottles, it's hard to read. But to the miners of life, purators of good times, celebrators of joke and laugh, it's time to think beyond serious, beyond straight faces and snarled lips. There's revelry to be had. Now, here in this moment, wherever this moment may be, let's stoke. The rest is in French. So, okay, this is, in ingredients here it says Canadian whiskey, sugar, water, natural flavor, citric acid. Certainly, they've added some stuff to it, added some sweetness to it, and, some spice clearly. And I was actually looking, it's kind of interesting, this distiller, or this bottler, they have a wide variety of different flavors, like all sorts of stuff. Really, I think one was peanut butter. I was seeing a pamphlet, or I looked on the website a while back. It's quite a while ago, and I think they literally had 10 or 12 different kind of flavors, if I recall correctly. And some really interesting stuff you'd never really think of, you never really heard of before. So this is the only one I've tried before. And hey, just a random one off the shelf here. I thought, hey, you better. I bought this bottle. I have enjoyed it actually, and so I thought, better at least get it in front of the camera here for you folks, and let you know what I think. So yeah, so here we go. Let's see what it smells like. Yeah, you kind of a nice golden color here too, But yeah. It's almost got like a little bit of a pickup of almost honey. Honey with kind of a kick of, oh boy. Kind of almost like a spicy honey, for lack of a better term. There's a smell I just can't quite place. I know what it is. I just can't quite describe it, which doesn't help you guys. Oh, yeah, what is that? Yeah, boy, almost a little bit of rye overtones in there too, a little bit. I'm sure there might be some rye in here. It just says Canadian whiskey, so we're not too sure exactly what's in it. But Haven't done any research. So, but almost a little bit of a bubble gummy, which I get from rye sometimes, and almost a little bit of a, oh boy, I'm having a hard time placing that. Anyways, let's take a sip. Oh yeah, that's really nice. Oh, take another sip before I describe it. You know what? Kind of a sweet honey with kind of taste. If you would mix rye and honey together, you'd get this, which is actually a really nice combination because the spice from the rye, almost like a peppery, kind of honey mixed with pepper. Might be where I'd go with this. So it's definitely got a sweetness to it. So yeah, no lack of sweetness. It might be a touch too sweet if that's not what you're in the mood for. But if you're in the mood for something like this, I find sometimes maybe with a sweeter whiskey, whiskeys that have had sweetness added to it. This one's got sugar added to it, I think it said. Or some of the flavored ones, like let's say honey, honey JD or Crown Royal, does some of those things, like maybe an apple or I've got sort of like a roasted caramel Crown Royal on the shelf. I should review that sometime. Sometimes I've noticed if you're in the mood for that, you're in the mood for it. Absolutely great, just to have it neat. But to pour that on ice is sometimes really nice. It just takes a little bit of that. If it's a little bit too sweet, takes a little bit of that away, but gives you some really. Still has that flavor, dilutes the flavor just a little bit, so it's not too sweet, keeps it cold, and just kind of is very kind of refreshing at the same time. So I do find, you might want to try this one on ice, and if you're, right now I'm finding just a touch too sweet for me at the moment, but if you're in the mood for sweet, I've definitely had this neat, on a few occasions for sure, and I enjoyed it. I had no problem with it whatsoever. So yeah, it's a little bit of a sweeter dram for sure, but it's interesting flavor. It's kind of a nice spicy. It says spiced, so it's got that kind of element to it. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Yeah. As you sip it a little bit more, you're picking out a little bit more of that, almost a peppery, kind of pepper. Almost feel like the grains of pepper. You can kind of pick it out of the honey as you taste it. It's like sprinkled pepper popping out of the honey. It's actually quite nice. Okay, so we're gonna maybe come to back to that in a second. And now we're gonna try the third option here. And this is High West whiskey. Now, High West, I really like. And this one is the Campfire version. See there at the bottom, it says Campfire. And what High West whiskey is, it's a blend of different things. And I've tried, I think the first one I ever tried was High West whiskey. It's called Rendezvous Rye, I believe it was called, and that was one of the best ryes I've ever tasted. It was a mix of different ryes, and boy, it just sparkles in the mouth. Sparkles. It almost had a little bit of like, you back in the day growing up at 7-Eleven, we'd go to 7-Eleven and they'd have those pop rocks that you'd put in your mouth and they kind of pop in your mouth. It had a bit of that going on in just the most amazing way. It was such a good. If I could find another one, or I should go just find another one and buy it. Then I tried, the second one I tried of High West was called Double Rye. And that was, also a rye blend. And that one wasn't quite as good. That was still really good, but not as good as that Rendezvous rye I found for myself. And this Campfire one is a little bit different again. This one actually, they kind of go out there and kind of start mixing some different categories here. So they go, made with straight rye whiskey, straight bourbon whiskey, blended malt Scotch whiskey. So they got blended Scotch, they got bourbon in here, and they've got rye. So it's quite a combination. I mean, it's a bit of almost a bit of everything thrown in there. And so, I'll just read you guys what they're all about here and what they say on the bottle. So this is 46% alcohol. And here's what they say. I was going to write something cheesy about cowboys, campfires, and whiskey, but I figured you might be more interested in how Campfire whiskey came to be. One morning at the Brooks Lottie Distillery, B&B, my wife and I smelled peat in the air. The great ladies that made our meals were simmering a bottle of peated whiskey and sugar. Later that night, they brought our dessert of ripe honeydew drizzled with the peeled syrup. That was the most unusual, delicious, and memorable ending to a dinner I've ever had. The combination of melon and sweet smoke really worked. So naturally, I thought, why not mix sweet bourbon and peat? Yeah, and I've heard that yes, I've tried that myself at home. So anyways, the main flavor or melody is sweet honey from a ripe bourbon. Okay, so sweet honey from a white ripe bourbon. The enhancing flavor or harmony is floral fruity spice from a mature rye whiskey. Okay, right? And then the accent is smoke from a peated Scotch whiskey. The proportions, top secret. Campfire is carefully crafted from source whiskeys. So as the sun sinks low and the cold settles in, grab a bottle of Campfire whiskey and gather around a blazing fire to warm up. Wind down your day, share stories, and deepen friendships. One taste of the sweet, spicy, and yes, smoky whiskey, you'll know how it got its name. We like to enjoy Campfire whiskey with s'mores or good-looking strangers. If you find yourself in Old Town Park City, you ought to come visit the High West Distillery and Saloon and get a taste for our Western hospitality and our crowd-pleasing victuals. Founder David Perkins, Master Distiller Brendan Coyle. It's not chill filtered, no coloring or flavor added. That's interesting. Yeah, it's really cool. And it says High West home is historic Old Town Park City and the world's only ski-in gastro distillery. Okay, so if I recall though, this is my third bottle of High West, or third type of High West. I love that first one. Couldn't say enough about it. Second one was a little bit of a letdown compared to the first one, but it's still good. This one, as you notice, I haven't drank that much of it. And I did buy this a while ago. And I've struggled with this one a little bit. If I recall when I'm drinking it, I feel like maybe they tried to do a little bit too much, or just didn't quite get something right. The trick with peatiness is if you put peatiness into a blend, or I've done some little fun experiments at home with just an infinity bottle or whatever, and a little bit of peat can kind of, if it's the right kind of peat and it just kind of mixes, it'll work. I've had one or two that just worked, and then I've had other times where because the peat is so powerful, it's the same thing with something sweet. If you put a sweet whiskey, like let's say like this Revelstoke into a blended home, the sweetness can take over slowly. One drop of sweet can not ruin the whole bottle, but overtake the whole bottle. The same thing is with peat, I find. So I kind of feel like that happened a little bit with this guy, So where that peat just kind of takes over, and you just taste the peat, and I love peat. But sometimes but then you might just want to have a peated Scotch, right? So I feel like maybe try to future make categories here. But here I am kind of getting down on it before I've tried it here tonight. So I'm going to try it again and see. You know, I want to like it because I absolutely love High West. I really do want to like it. So I'm going to give it the absolute college try here again. But, you know, I definitely want to try every I'm really, really impressed overall with High West, and I want to try every. I know they have lots of different blends, so I want to try as many as I can try. You know, they definitely have my brand loyalty. There's no question about it. So I don't want to get down on it. It would be too critical. Just this one, I was having trouble. You know, maybe because my expectations are so high with the other High Wests I've had that I found this one a little bit disappointing. But let me jump into it here. Yeah, so yeah, definitely smell some of that peat. But a little bit of sweetness in there as well. That makes sense. You know, and the peat's there, but it's kind of got a, you know, again, you read the bottle, so your brain goes, "Oh, this is what it's supposed to smell like." And I feel like I can smell some bourbon in here, some rye in here, and some peat in here. And it's pretty close to a third, maybe, in the way it smells, let's say. But then the peat will kind of sometimes take over. So let's take a sip. One thing I'm pretty sure I forgot to clean my palate, didn't I, after the other one? So I think I still was tasting some of the sweetness from the Revelstoke there a little bit. A little windy out there, isn't it? Yeah, it's always windy these days. Okay, when you first take the sip, you know, and now that I'm having it, you know, I didn't quite intellectualize this before, but it does feel when you take that first sip, or the kind of the start of the sip, the first half of it, half of the taste, there's a little bit more of that sweet, you know, a little bit of bourbony rye with kind of like when you taste the Scotch that is not peated. It's got a little bit of that in there too in the first half, and then the second half the peat kind of kicks in, and then the finish is quite peat forward in terms of the peat on the finish is mostly what you taste, but it's a little bit more of obviously a bit more of a subtle peat than you might have with a more of a just a basic or a peated Scotch. That's kind of the point of it, or you know just a straight peated Scotch. So yeah, so you know, it's kind of an interesting blend. Yeah, again, the one problem I find with this one, I guess, is it just doesn't want to make up its mind. Then, you know, I think if you try to do too many things, it doesn't quite want to make up its mind. And then so you sip it and you're like, oh, I don't really know what I'm drinking. You can't quite, your brain, your mind, you can't quite settle in on what you're having, and then so I feel a lot of it gets lost from that. Boy, I don't mean to be so hard on this. Because the High West Rendezvous Rye is one of the best whiskeys I've ever tasted in my life. I mean, bar none. So this one isn't quite for me, I guess. You know, that's just me. That's just my own personal opinion. It's not bad. I certainly can enjoy it. I'm certainly going to finish the bottle. It's not bad. It's just I find it a little bit hard to get excited about, I guess. You know, I'm just going to quickly go back to the Teeling again. You know, I would probably say of these three, the Teeling's probably my favorite for sure. In fact, for sure. And then I'd probably have to say the Revelstoke is number 2, and the High West is number 3. It's not really about ranking. It's just kind of having some fun. These are very, very different whiskeys. So just about grabbing stuff off my shelf and enjoying it. You know, that's all it was. Okay, so yeah, I'll go back to the Teeling here. See what that's all about. Yeah. Yeah, the Teeling, again, just very nicely balanced, you know. It's funny, you use the word balanced, and, you know, it's funny because why isn't this one balanced, you know? It does have 3 kind of different types of whiskey in here. When you taste it, it actually does taste balanced in that way, but I guess just the combination of the balance, just to me doesn't taste very good, you know? The flavor isn't very good overall. This has got a nice balanced kind of journey, you know, balance between sweetness, texture, flavor, spiciness, alcohol. This is really, really nice. This is, bar none, Teeling is my favorite Irish whiskey so far. I mean, of course, I love Jameson's. I mean, Jameson's is kind of, you know, just kind of hangs in there with anything, I guess. Like, so I don't really want to compare to Jameson's, I guess, but even I've tried Yellow Spot. I've tried Flannery's. I've tried. It's kind of grown on me a little bit. Boy, sorry, my mind's really blanking right now. But I have tried about 4 or 5 different Irish whiskeys, and I started to notice sort of a commonalities, that little bit of a tinniness to it. This doesn't have that, you know, and I really kind of want to get into maybe some rum finished casks. You know, it seems like a really, really interesting thing to kind of explore, because, boy, whiskey and rum, that little bit of finish, you know, like it is really nice, of course, to have a little bit, you know, sherry casks or a little bit of that red wine finish. I do like that with whiskey, but boy, this rum is interesting. You know, it really is. Anyways, folks, like I said, just took it real slow tonight. Probably be sitting here having a few more anyway. So there's no rush, and hope you kind of enjoyed hanging out with me. You know, put some comments in the section below if you'd like. Say hi. You know, tell me what you think about these flavors. You know, anything. You know, it's been kind of a long year with COVID and everything, and hopefully we're coming out the back end of it, and we'll kind of get back to normal life, because it's been a bit of a long year. But let's keep enjoying a dram now and again, and I'm sure I'll do a video soon again in the next few days here. We'll do another one. I've got those 4 days off. I'm going to relax and shoot some whiskey column videos. It's going to be great. So everybody, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you again soon, folks.